Hi, how are you? My name is Luke, and as some of you already know, I ended up getting involved with my father-in-law. After that weekend at the cabin, where everything between us intensified, things started to go wrong, at least on my side. If you're just joining us and don't know the story yet, I recommend you go back and watch the previous part. The link is here in the description. Now, if you already know everything, then stick with me. Because what happened after that weekend changed everything. After that weekend, I tried. I tried to get back to my routine, to pretend everything was normal. Wake up early, make coffee, say good morning to my wife, go to work as if nothing had happened. But it didn't work. I couldn't get Jack out of my head. It was as if every minute of my day had become a reminder of him, the way he looked at me, his voice saying my name, his body pressed against mine, the silence we shared in that cabin. I found myself distracted in the middle of the workday, staring at the computer screen without being able to type a single line. My cell phone was there, next to me, like some kind of addiction. Every few minutes, I would unlock the screen to see if I had a message from him. And when I didn't, it was worse. His absence hurt more than I wanted to admit, and it started to get in the way. At work, at home, in the way I related to people. Worst of all, no one noticed. On the outside, I was the same. But on the inside, it was chaos. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to resolve this. I needed to hear from him what we were going to do about all these feelings because it was consuming me. So I sent him a message. Jack, we need to talk. Seriously, tonight? The reply came quickly, as if he had been waiting for it for days. Sure. Tell me where and what time. I arranged to meet him somewhere more secluded, discreet, an empty parking lot behind a park where we used to drive around together. It was safe and far enough away to avoid suspicion. At home, I made up an excuse that I was going out with some friends from work. My wife didn't suspect a thing. She smiled, said goodnight, and just asked me not to be too late. And so, with a knot in my chest and sweaty hands on the steering wheel, I drove to the agreed-upon spot. When I arrived, he was already there. He was standing next to his truck, leaning against it with his arms crossed and staring at the ground, as if trying to collect his thoughts before I arrived. I parked slowly. I took a deep breath. And when I got out of the car, our eyes met. And there, even before a word was spoken, I knew that night was going to change everything. When I got out of the car, he came towards me with that intense, longing look, and without saying a word, he tried to kiss me. But I turned my face away. No, Jack. My voice came out low, firm, and he stopped right away. He stared at me for a few seconds, confused, maybe even a little hurt. I miss you too, I said, feeling my throat tighten. But we need to talk, really talk, because I can't take living like this anymore. He took a deep breath, took a step back, and nodded. Okay, talk, Luke. I leaned against the side of the car, crossed my arms, trying to find some clarity amid the whirlwind I had been feeling for weeks. After the cabin, I thought I could move on, pretend, go back to normal life. But I can't, Jack. You're in my head all the time. At work, in the shower, even when I'm sleeping, you show up in my dreams. He lowered his eyes, as if trying to hold something back. Me too, Luke, he said. I can't stop thinking about you either. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling his words pierce my chest. But, I continued, I can't live in the dark anymore, afraid, lying to everyone, including myself. I love you, but I'm married. I have a life. And every time I come to see you, it's like I'm slowly tearing that life apart. I don't know if I can take it anymore. Jack approached me again, slowly. This time he didn't try to touch me. He just stood there, close by, his eyes watering and breathing heavily. I don't want to lose you, Luke, he said, his voice faltering. But I don't want to be the reason for your suffering either. We were silent for a while. Only the distant sounds of the park, the light wind, and our ragged breathing could be heard. What do we do now? He asked, almost in a whisper. I looked at him. My heart was broken, but I was also certain that what we felt was too real to be thrown away. So, I said, I'm going to file for divorce, and I'm going to move away. I can't live like this anymore. For a moment, the silence between us was so heavy that it felt like the air had disappeared. Jack looked at me with wide eyes, unable to believe what he was hearing. Luke, are you crazy? What do you mean? You're going to move away? I'm trying to survive, Jack, I said, my voice breaking. I love you, and I'll love you until the last day God allows me. But this way, hiding, lying, torn between two lives, I can't take it anymore. He ran his hands through his hair, then over his entire head, indignant. He began to walk in circles, as if his body was trying to keep up with what his mind couldn't understand. No, it's not possible, he repeated softly, as if talking to himself. I approached him, my heart aching, but standing firm. It's okay, Jack. You don't have to answer me now. I just needed to tell you that. I'm going to move on, even if it's alone. He stopped walking and looked at me with tears in his eyes, but didn't say a word. His silence was like an answer. I took a deep breath, trying not to break down in front of him. I'm sorry. I really am. But I have to go. I turned around, got into the car with my hands shaking and my heart torn apart. I closed the door slowly and drove away. The rearview mirror showed him standing there, alone in the dark, like an image I knew I would never forget. And on the way home, I cried. But for the first time in a long time, I also felt a strange kind of peace. I arrived home in silence. I went straight to the bathroom, closed the door, and stared at the mirror. My eyes were red, my breathing was short, my chest was tight. I turned on the faucet, let the water run over my hands, and splashed it on my face hard, as if that could erase the traces of tears, at least hide the pain that no longer fit inside me. The next morning, I called my wife to talk. She came into the living room with the calm expression of someone who had no idea what was coming. I sat down next to her, took a deep breath, and got straight to the point. Emily, I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce. She looked at me, surprised, confused, as if the words didn't make sense. What do you mean, Luke? What happened? Is everything okay? Yes, it is. I lied, my voice breaking. It's just, this isn't for me. The life we've built, I don't recognize myself in it anymore. She insisted, asking what had changed, if there was someone else, if it was something she had done. But I denied it. Because, even though the truth was there, pulsing behind my eyes, I couldn't say it. I could never destroy her life, not even her relationship with her father. That burden was mine, and I was going to carry it alone. That same day, I packed my bags. I took only the essentials, and I left. I went to my brother's house, who welcomed me with surprise, but also with respect. Did something happen? He asked. It just wasn't working anymore, I replied. And he understood. He didn't insist. In the days that followed, Jack started sending me messages. Short, confusing ones. You can't do this to me. Think about it, Luke. We love each other. And all I could respond with was what was left inside me. Forgive me. I love you. But I needed to leave. If one day you want to live this love with me, I'll be here, with open arms. He read them. Sometimes he saw them right away. But he didn't respond. Not even to say yes. Not even to say no. And that hurt more than any silence. The days went by, pushing everything forward with the silent force of time, even when my heart still seemed stuck in the past. And finally, the divorce papers were ready. I went to the registry office on the appointed day and time. Emily was already there, punctual, with the serene demeanor of someone who had perhaps gotten over it faster than I had imagined. She looked beautiful, dressed elegantly, but her gaze held a kind of silence that only those who have been hurt carry. We signed the papers without unnecessary words, without tears, without drama. Just two names that once meant everything, officially separated by a pen and a signature. After that, We said goodbye with a brief wave, and each went their separate ways. She returned to her mother's house, and I went straight to see my new home. I bought a small house in a remote location surrounded by greenery, silence, and time. It was simple, but it had everything I needed at that moment: space, peace, and a chance to start over. I moved in the following weekend, and little by little I built a new routine. I planted a small vegetable garden, calmly rearranged the furniture, started cooking with more care, and allowed myself to live more fully even though loneliness was there, constant, accompanying me like a patient shadow. It didn't scream, it didn't invade, but it didn't go away either. It sat with me at the table, lay down next to me at night, followed me along the trails in the backyard as the sun set on the horizon. And as much as I had chosen that path, aware of every consequence, it didn't make the nights any easier, or the days any less silent. I missed him, Jack. The way he looked at me, his scent mixed with the wind, the steady, calm presence that only he had. I didn't know where he was, if he thought about me, if he had given up. But even so, I carried on. Because, for the first time in a long time, I was living a life that was mine alone. A real life, albeit a lonely one. As much as loneliness embraced me night after night, and as much as longing corroded me in silence, I knew I couldn't and shouldn't text him again. I had already exposed myself, already declared my feelings, already given up everything to live something real. The next step would have to be his. If Jack really wanted to be with me, if the love we had in the cabin, in the forest, in the silence of the garage, still pulsed inside him as it pulsed inside me, then he would come. Not because of pressure, not because of guilt, but of his own free will. And that was exactly what I wanted, to be chosen, not out of necessity, not on impulse, but out of love. So I went about my days with this silent agreement between me and time. I planted my herbs in the garden, read my books on the porch, lit the fireplace on cold nights, and let his memory come when it wanted to without fighting it, but also without letting it paralyze me. Because, as much as it hurt to admit it, to love was also to know how to wait. And sometimes, knowing how to walk away. A few days passed. It was a typical late afternoon, one of those days when routine seems to want to convince me that life is slowly returning to normal. I had just gotten home from work, tired but with that desire to silence the world outside. I took a long shower, letting the hot water run down my back, as if it could wash away the weight of the week. Then I opened a bottle of wine, lit the fireplace, and threw myself on the sofa, with the television tuned to some program I wasn't even paying attention to. I was there, lost in the cozy silence of my new life, when I heard the sound of a truck parking in front of the house. I frowned. No one knew where I lived, only my brother, and he never showed up unannounced. I got up slowly, curious, my heart beating a little faster, and went to the door. When I opened it, I froze. It was him. Jack. There he stood, like an impossible vision. My heart raced immediately. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming, but he was there, real, staring at me with a bouquet of red roses in his hands. He was more handsome than ever, with that steady yet vulnerable look, as if he were carrying every word he never had the courage to say. Without saying a word, he approached me, stopped in front of me, and knelt down. "Luke," he said, his voice low and hoarse with emotion, "I couldn't stay away from you. Now I understand everything you've been through. Forgive me for taking so long to see, to feel what was already so clear. I need you. If you still want me, I want to live this love with you. Will you accept me?" He handed me the bouquet, and at that moment, a single tear rolled down my cheek. I took the flowers with trembling hands, touched his fingers tenderly, and helped him up. "Of course I accept you," I replied, my voice breaking. I couldn't wait any longer. "I love you, Jack, like I've never loved anyone else." He smiled, moved, and whispered, "I love you too." We embraced right there at the door, as if time had stopped again, only this time, to give us back what was ours. When our lips met, it was unlike anything else. There was love, there was tenderness, there was desire, but above all, there was surrender. That kiss was the beginning of everything that was to come. We went inside, leaving the world outside. And that night, we made love as if it were the first time, but with the depth of two people who already knew each other inside. Our bodies begged for it, our souls embraced in the dark, and all our doubts melted away in the heat of that reunion. Later, lying on the sofa, with the fireplace casting warm shadows on the walls and a comfortable silence between us, I looked at him with a slight smile and asked, "How did you find me?" Jack smiled slightly, in that way that only he can, and replied, "It was your brother. He told me where you were. I separated from my wife, Luke. And since then, I've had only one mission: to find you. If necessary, I would have traveled the entire world looking for you. Because you brought a new sparkle to my life, a joy I never knew I was missing. They say that in life, we only find one true love. And today I know, with all the certainty I have, my true love is you." I was silent for a few seconds, trying to process every word, feeling my heart beat faster in my chest. Then, a little awkwardly, I said, "Like that, you're going to make me cry again." He smiled and gently ran his hand over my face. "If it's out of emotion, you can cry. Because I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, that you will never cry because I hurt you again. I will take care of you until the last day God allows me." And at that moment, with my head resting on his chest, listening to his peaceful breathing, the smell of burning wood, and the warmth of the body I loved more than anything, I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 5 years have passed. And sometimes I still find myself looking out the living room window, with a hot cup in my hands, thinking about everything that has happened so far. What was once pain has become a memory. And what was fear has become peace. We have been living together since that day he knocked on my door. I remember it like it was yesterday. The image of him standing there with a bouquet of red roses in his hands and his eyes full of love has never left my memory. And since then, we've never left each other's side. The house, which once seemed too big for one person, is now full of life, laughter, and comfortable silences. We plant, we cook, we share the same bed and the same dreams. Today, I understand that love is a choice. Not a choice made once, in a magical, isolated moment, but a daily decision silent, constanto stay. To care. To look at the other person and say, even without words, "I'm here." Love doesn't live only on intense kisses or beautiful promises. It's in the little details of everyday life. In the coffee he makes before I wake up. In the way he waits for me on the porch when it gets dark. In the shared silence at dusk, when neither of us needs to say anything, because everything is already said in our eyes. It's in the laughter that breaks out while we're making dinner. In the towel left folded on the corner of the bed. In the way he holds my hand when life gets tough. And even in the sound of his breathing when he sleeps peacefully beside me. I have discovered that love is being present even in the most ordinary moments. It is being a refuge. It is being home. And that is what Jack has become for me. My home. My safe place. My chosen love every day, without haste, without fear, without lies. So that's it. If you ask me today if it was worth going through everything I've been through, the answer is simple: yes. Because true love is never easy. But when it's real, it transforms our lives. And if you're also waiting for someone to knock on your door, don't give up. Sometimes love takes time. Sometimes it comes from where we least expect it. But when it arrives, we just know. A big hug from Luke. And thank you for living this story with me until the end.